Algorithms can be extremely useful. They are ingrained in almost every digital aspect of our lives, from social media to Google searches, guiding us in making countless decisions. And we as humans have continued to trust it in everyday aspects of our life.
Simply put, an algorithm is a set of steps used to complete a specific task. Big data is an important term when understanding algorithms and their biases, since most machine learning algorithms handle a vast amount of information at any given time. An algorithm decides the answer to a question by comparing and analyzing sets of characteristics it has learned from its given database. The more labeled data an algorithm is trained on, the better the outcome will be. However, problems can arise if there is too little data or too much unspecific data, which will create a blind spot within the algorithm.
When an algorithm is biased, it reflects ethically problematic discrimination based on attributes such as race, gender, social class, and much more. Algorithmic bias is rooted in the way artificial intelligence algorithms work by using what is known as machine learning and deep learning. Since these algorithms are generally programmed by a group of people who decide what information is input into the sample, sets of values and beliefs can unintentionally be placed within these systems. Data is also a reflection of our history. Algorithms use historical information to make a prediction about the future. Thus, there is an inherent risk of bias or a pattern of deviation from rationality and judgment. Hi, I'm Bailey.
I'm Lexi.
And I'm Morgan.
And we are here at the CU Boulder campus interviewing students about what they know about algorithmic bias. Okay, I am here today with
Delaney.
Hannah.
Nicole.
Fitz.
In online facial recognition algorithms, what percentage of Black women are misclassified?
Like 60%.
Like 40%.
All.
Probably a pretty high percentage, around like 90 or something.
It is actually 35%, but that means that they only have a 65% accuracy rate. In online facial recognition algorithms, what percent of white males do you think are misclassified in these systems?
Like 15%?
Like 5%.
Low. 10%.
A lot lower number, like 1%.
It is 1%. He's correct. Now that means that white males typically have a 99% accuracy rate in these facial recognition systems. The NYPD maintains a database of 42,000 individuals who fit into the category of gang affiliates. What percentage of these databases do you think are Black and Latinx communities?
Probably like 65%.
Like 92%.
Most. Over 50, I would say.
65%.
It is actually 99%. When searching a common African American name on Google, what percentage of generated ads do you think suggest a previous arrest?
40%.
50%.
Most. Probably over 75, 80%.
75%.
It is 95%. Were you aware that racial algorithmic bias was taking place?
I knew a little bit about it because I took computer science principles in high school, and we talked about like AI and how it's like created and the biases that it has, because it was like part of our curriculum. So I knew a little bit about it, but some of those stats were like kind of insane.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Yes, because I remember I've done projects where it's like you search 3 teenagers, and depending on how you specify their race, it's either like mugshots or them like in a park having fun.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really important to recognize that like while that is changing, it's still very much like that, and Google can try to cover up how it's been like that in the past, but I think that still, especially AI and stuff like that, it's still very biased and worth researching and digging into because it's not fair.
Yeah.
Yes, but only because I've taken courses that deal with it.
What kind of courses have you taken?
I'm a computer science major, so I have a lot of data-related courses, and we do a lot with algorithms and how creating them can lead to a black box that you can't really fix.
And then lastly, have you ever encountered examples of this in your real life?
yeah, actually a little bit. I think in like the ad stuff maybe. I think they'd take your personal information and then make generalizations based on that. So
Not personally.
Yeah, there was one that the AI could not tell who Michelle Obama was, because she's a black female, and it tried to classify her as male, like 90% of the time.
Hi, I'm here with
Mel. I am here with
Emily.
I am here with
Fits.
explain your understanding of social class bias and algorithms.
Essentially targets your audience based on certain factors such as socioeconomic status, like income or race. And so these certain attributes are used to characterize you and deem you as more likely to be a greater candidate for certain things or less likely.
Like kind of what you have or what you've been through, whether it's like a degree or education.
What a first question. Jeez. Holy.
Can you provide examples of algorithms that may have a disproportionate impact on certain social classes?
When you're applying to jobs, especially like some women won't actually put their age because like there is bias against like age, whether or not you're more or less qualified for certain things.
Whether you have a degree or not, which I think also like represents like your family's income or where you come from.
So what efforts should be made to combat the issue of social class algorithmic bias?
And I know there are tests that can actually be taken to kind of corroborate, oh hey, yeah, I actually do have biases that I had no idea were a little bit pervasive in the way that I like attempt certain things. Taking tests that help you recognize and acknowledge your actual implicit biases can really help people understand that, hey, the reason why algorithms have bias is because guess what, the people creating these algorithms have implicit biases that they are aware of and thus are being implemented into systems like this.
Great, perfect. Everyone equal opportunity is always the goal.
There should be efforts made to kind of make it more equitable for the lower class, so that they aren't starting from a step behind. So if they're all starting at the same position, maybe they'll be able to get the same opportunities. And that comes with government help and subsidies and programs to deal with mental health and whatnot.
Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is
Delaney.
Emily.
Fits?
my first question. What are some ways that you think that algorithms can be biased for gender?
At least for me, like I've noticed like during resumes, like if you're like a woman and you have like a picture on your resume or you're a man and you don't have a picture, like they can definitely like be biased with that. Depending on like what most women study in college is a lot different than like what other men study. So I feel like that's kind of a social division a little bit.
I guess they could probably show like catered ads that suggest something about you and your identity. I know I've gotten pregnancy test ads. Like, I don't know how they know I'm a woman.
Well, the creators of a lot of the algorithms are white men, and so they don't really think about other classes, other genders, whatever, while they're creating these algorithms. So a lot of times the way they make it can bias the information they get.
Do you feel like you've ever experienced gender bias from an algorithm?
Yeah, definitely. I thought about going to PA school, and a lot of people won't encourage that. And I think that's just because of like my current degree. It's like a more heavily populated like women study, and like you'll either get pushed into doing that or not because of like your gender, I feel like. So
Like I said, maybe only in the ad experience, but never like otherwise. I haven't really had a lot of like experience using artificial intelligence though.
Not necessarily, but I am of the dominant gender in society. We live in a patriarchy. I mean, I feel like I may be able to see it for others, but for myself, being a straight white male, I see it less.
Could you Google image search man for me? And then just explain a little bit about what you're seeing.
a lot of men with beards, all standing like very like strong and like empowered for sure. Yeah, they're all literally doing the same cross-armed pose.
Yeah, they're well dressed. They've got like collared shirts, like well kept. They've got like beards. They're like well shaven and stuff. They look very professional, like confident, things like that.
I've got a lot of Indian men, a lot of bearded men. For the most part, everyone's got beards. Seeing a lot less white men than I would expect. It's really a lot of like Middle Eastern and Indian men.
And then next, could you Google search woman and do the same thing?
It's a lot more pictures with like family and friends. And like a picture of a woman hugging her grandmother, it looks like. So like a lot more like affection than how the men were posed.
There's a mugshot. A lot of the recommendations are kind of weird. Like there's chest as a recommendation, beach, bed, bra, things like that. There's a lot of women in Congress, I see. Some historical women. There's something that says safe search blurring is on. So you know that there's already like nude pictures being shown here.
There's a lot more white women at the top of the page, and the latest tab is kind of all white women, while the other results is black women and Asian women.
Do you think that these differences are accurate?
I mean, I feel like we're definitely portrayed to be more like emotional and like caring than like most men in the world. Not to say that we are, but no, I don't think they're completely accurate.
Definitely a big difference between the men and the woman search for sure. So
I would think that there's some sort of bias in maybe it's related to what I've searched in the past.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. While algorithms are an important tool that have been integrated into our daily lives, it is important to be aware of the underlying biases. These biases do not accurately reflect reality and can alter perceptions and treatments of marginalized groups. The information that these algorithms are based on is big data that is controlled by those in power. This causes minority groups to be alienated due to a lack of representation. Education and awareness about this issue is essential to protect ourselves from becoming or getting victimized by digital biases.